Hiya! So I'm going to be trying to make a plush today. That's going to be fun. So I've got my pattern book and I got my paper and I got all of my fabrics here. So let's go. So what I like to do with my plushes is I like to make them out of shapes. So I just break down the model into simple shapes, and the body is pretty much a sphere. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna find one of these that's oh, there we go. We've got so this over here is a good 4-piece part for a sphere pattern. It's the one that I've used for my Flygon, and Hydreigon's body is a little bit longer than this. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sort of stretch this out a little bit. Okay, so I eventually drew out this, which was very similar to that sphere pattern that I mentioned. The main thing about it though is it's a little bit longer. So what'll happen is that when it comes together, it'll not quite be ball shaped, but more like a kind of like a an American football or a rugby ball or something like that. It'll just kind of come out in that kind of shape, and that's what I'm going for with Hydreigon's body. And what I've done alongside this is, you see, Hydreigon actually has a neck coming out of its thing. So what I've done is I've actually done one of these, which is effectively a sphere thing, kind of like this. But what I've done with that is I've extended it outwards so that it actually goes into the neck. And I've done one of these for the bottom side as well. So both of these will kind of go together like this. It'll make a lot more sense when it actually comes together, but basically these are the 3 pieces of the pattern that I'm working with. Do with that is get some kind of stripe shapes on there, so I'm gonna bring that inwards, and then I actually have no idea if this will work, but if it doesn't, then it will be very low risk to try. Now I actually need one of these, so I'm just gonna use that one. So yeah, what I'm going to do with this is that these are going to be the purple stripes that go along its body. I don't know if this is going to work, but if it doesn't, then all I'm going to lose is just this piece of thing. So now I'm going to cut the same shape out of this part. The idea is to get those stripes on there like that, and then it will just go around the full circle, and then hopefully it'll look alright when it's done. Let's just pull it inside out and see what we get. That's perfect. So we got the stripes exactly as we wanted them. So if I start stuffing that now. So yes, here's the body of the Hydreigon. At the moment, as I said, it's just sort of a ball shape. And yeah, what I'm going to do is extend it out that way for a tail, and then extend it out this way for the head. So I'm actually going to use some black to make the head, and I'm going to cut out these things for what's going to attach onto and around, and then that's going to effectively form into the neck in black. I do not like this one at all. I'll tell you what I'm going to do with this actually. I'm going to paint it so that I got a line, because trying to get a proper line on this is going to be really difficult. I don't want to have to do this one blind, so I'm going to actually paint it. Yeah, using that paint is the only way that I can get any decent marking on the black fabric, especially when it's double-sided like that. So that's the solution I'm going with. So now I have this general shape, which is supposed to be the neck. Now the thing is, because of the way that I've cut this, I'm going to actually have to sew it on by hand, which means... So for the head, I've got to draw what looks like a pot leaf. So now I'm just going to draw an outline of that shape around my purple fabric, and then just sew that onto the black fabric, and then I'll create the feather effect that goes around the head. now going to be drawing the pattern for the main head, which is going to be slightly more detailed than the two smaller heads. Now I'm going to be dividing this into the top and the bottom drawers, and the top drawer I'm going to be doing it this way. There's got 3 separate segments to it, with a little bit down the middle that'll effectively give it what looks like a bit of a cute little nose. So that's the way that I'm going to go about this. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so now I've done that, and those two will go together like that. Come on that, and then that'll be the head. Now as always, I tend to use plastic eyes in my plushes, so I'm going to be putting those in right now. Oh my god, I cannot penetrate this. At this point, it's mostly just hand sewing to actually get the head attached, which takes hours, but by the time I'm done, I end up with this cute little bull with a chompy little head on the end of it, and I'm pretty happy with how I've come so far, so it's about time to make 2 more of those heads, which is mostly going to be a lot of the same thing, but with slight variations. For starters, I'm going to actually have to draw 2 new necks, although both of them are actually going to be the same, so I'm only actually going to show one of the heads being put together, but the patterns are going to be very similar, but I am going to vary them slightly because the smaller heads are kind of different from the main one. Also, the neck is obviously going to have to be different, but that's actually a pretty easy thing to draw. I pretty much just, draw what I think a neck would vaguely look like, and then I've basically done. So that's not too hard, and then I just sew all that together, and then I start doing the pot leaf again, which is actually slightly different to the one on the main head, partially because of the fact that it only actually has 5 leaves on it as opposed to the 7 that I just called them leaves, didn't I? Well, that's what I'm going to go with, but it only actually has 5 points on it instead of 7, which I like to take those little details into account. So anyway, continuing onwards.
So I've drawn out these two pieces for the pattern of the smaller head. They're basically just the top and bottom jaws, which I'm going to stick together and then put some little beady eyes in, which I think will look pretty cute. And we'll see how that comes together in just a second. So that pretty much does it for the first head. Doing the second one is basically the same as the first, so there's not really much to show there. I'm pretty much going to skip ahead, but this is actually going to be the point where I actually stop for the evening. I actually, under usual circumstances, I would actually just carry on and continue into the night doing this kind of thing, but when I'm recording, that kind of clashes. Like, it gets a lot more difficult to actually capture footage for this kind of thing in the night time, especially when I'm working with a black plush like this one. It gets even more difficult for the camera to pick any of that kind of stuff up. So I'm going to basically pack up for tonight, and when I come back the next day, I actually am going to start on the tail of the plush, which is pretty simple actually. It's basically just a cone shape with a little purple stripe going along it and an additional black tip on the end of it, which is basically just another cone. So I basically just do a cone, cut it short, and add another cone onto it. So not too much there. I'm actually going to take a piece of the cone thing from my Flygon plush, because for some reason I really seem to like using pieces of the Flygon plush in this particular model. Maybe that's just a sign. Maybe it's just a dragon thing. I don't know. But anyway, and now with the tail done, I'm going to add on the feet, which are probably the easiest part of the entire plush. It's pretty much just vaguely draw something that looks kind of like the feet and then just cut out two of those and sew them together. It really is not that difficult. Okay, the feet are done, and now it's home stretch. The last thing we need is the wings. And the wings are very similar to the feet in the fact that they're pretty much just two of the same shape, just stuck together, but it's a little bit harder just because of the fact that it's the shape that I have to work with, and also the fact that it's also the black fabric, which I haven't really mentioned it before, but the black fabric that I have is a little bit different to the other stuff because I mainly use minky fabric, and whilst the black is pretty much the same thing, it's a double-sided minky fabric, which makes it just 10 times more awkward to work with, along with the fact that also trying to draw on it is impossible because of the black. So it means that I mentioned it briefly, but I do have to paint on the black just so I have any kind of markings for what I need to do. Annoyingly, this does mean that by the time I get to sewing again, it's going to start getting dark, which means that I'm not going to be able to attach these wings by the end of the day. In fact, you'll notice that that it starts getting a little bit dark to record after a while, which is particularly awkward because, as I mentioned before, filming black fabric is not going to work, but that's what I get for buying my fabric at a random store that I found in Portugal. That said, it is really difficult to come by minky fabric over in Europe. I'm not exactly sure why. In fact, most of the stuff that I'm working with is stuff that I dragged over while I was in California. So after sewing and cutting along the lines that I drew, this is what I end up with, and as you can see, it's getting a little dark now, so I'm not going to be recording tonight, but I will be coming back tomorrow and finishing off by attaching these two wings. Okay, so it's my final day working on this thing, and, well, all I really have to do at this point is just to fully attach these wings. So it's just going to be a little bit of hand sewing, and then I'll be done. So here we have the finished product. I am actually really happy with this. It's it kind of lies flat, which is a little bit cute and a little bit, but yeah, I'm really happy with this, how this turned out. The cute little beady eyes are absolutely adorable, especially on the tiny heads. I love them on the tiny heads. They just look so cute, and the way that it's got that kind of like a little chompy thing going on. I like this. It's cute. So thank you so much for watching this video. It took a long time to put together because I had to edit together about 10 hours of footage. So I really do appreciate you watching it and taking interest. And if you want to see me doing this again, then let me know, because I quite enjoyed doing this. So thanks for watching. Goodbye. If you want to follow me with all the stuff that I do, then all of my social media links will be in the description, and of course you can subscribe.